Yeah. Wow. We did talk about your environment changing. You got out of New York and went to Palm Springs,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Yeah.
right. All right, I think we are live.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
let
Wow.
me let me mute this one. Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Excellent. All right, we're good. So, hi, anyone that's tuning in. It's Lynn from Masami and the Conscious Beauty Collective, and I'm here with Chris from Cella Beauty, who I'm really excited to talk to because not only is his brand amazing, which we're going to talk about, but he has a whole host of knowledge around wellness and just why clean beauty. And I think so many of you ask me questions about this all the time that I think we're going to get some good perspectives today. So welcome, Chris.
Hey, Lynn. So great to be here. Honored to be on your YouTube today and to have met you and begun working with you and your initiatives and everything you're doing for clean beauty. I think, one person at a time, we can change the landscape and try to get the truths out there as opposed to the the government issued nonsense that so much of us are indoctrinated with and start believing. And when you are faced with, as in your case, a health consequence that's life threatening, and you have to make these life and death decisions, every bit of information matters. So kudos to you for launching the Conscious Beauty Collective and everything that you're doing to bring awareness to it. It's amazing.
Well, thank you, but it's really a collective and it's really about all the brands and I think together we're trying to make I always say we're trying to make the beauty industry more beautiful because it's not beautiful. People don't realize how ugly it is in the underbelly of the beauty industry and how many products are toxic. And the big companies have no interest in changing that because they're the ones using the sulfates, the parabens, like all the bad stuff. And by the way, they're a lot cheaper than the ingredients that we're using. So,
Correct.
you know,
And it's just laziness because when you're, a multi-billion dollar conglomerate selling all over the world, imagine having to completely change your supply chain and all your ingredients and everything you buy and have costs go up, and they're all driven by profit. So they use the cheapest, most affordable
exactly.
stuff, and they don't want to rebrand and repackage and put out stuff that's really going to be beneficial for you. So couldn't agree more.
Really a shame because it's not doing a service for consumers, but they're not thinking, to your point, they're not thinking customers, they're thinking profit.
Right.
Um, I think the beauty of being a small brand is we can do it right from the beginning. And we are only answerable to really ourselves. And if we have investors, yes. But I've been thinking a lot about like legacy lately and how important it is to leave the world a better place than when we found it. Maybe it was because I had cancer. I don't know. Maybe it's because my kids are now 24 and 21 and I want grandchildren desperately. Children, are you listening?
Get busy. That's
Um,
beautiful.
but let's talk about Cella because your brand has been a leader in the space for a while. And let's just talk about your journey a little bit and what inspired you to do it.
Oh, thank you, Lynn. Yeah, it's kind of a crazy journey. I'll go back to um I started in the third grade with this idea that I was going to play pro football. And
Ah,
I told my dad I'm going to play pro football. So here I am in third grade. I set this intention. I put a uniform on and I felt little kid thinking, magical thinking. I'm like Superman. I can't get hurt. I got pads and a helmet. And then boom, you get knocked down. You realize it's just pads and a helmet. But that moment of intention, that moment of transformation stuck with me. And then you start manifesting and saying, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And I don't know, 12 plus years later, I ended up with the good fortune of being the second pick in the draft and starting tight end for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But how do
oh,
you go
wow.
from that? Yeah, thank you. How do you go from Pittsburgh Steelers to cosmetics?
Yeah.
Definitely not a straight line. So I got hurt early in my career, which turned out to be a blessing. Had to
Mm,
retire, did real estate development, did corporate finance, did investment banking, and then just decided that I really wanted to build a brand because I'd helped others finance and build their brands and their dreams. So I went down that road and it landed me in cosmetics. But the question came to me is like, why did you found this company? When I told these two incredibly bright women who were consultants that I had hired, I kind of gave them the investment banking story and all the business reasons that I went into it. They just looked at me and smiled and laughed. And they said, that's not the real reason. And I'm like, well, I'm the guy who founded it. I should know. And they said, yeah, we don't think that's in alignment, that we think there's something there.
They
So
didn't
six
believe
months,
you?
what's that?
They didn't believe you?
They didn't believe me. It was a good story.
Yeah.
What really got uncovered was that 6 months into it, they realized and got to know me and my story. My parents got divorced when I was in the fourth grade. So right after I kind of made that declaration, I spent time living with my mom, living with my dad. And about halfway into that, there was a period of time I was living with my mom, single mom, two kids, two jobs, and it wasn't happening for her. And she decided right then and there that she was going to change things. So she set an intention. She transformed herself. She got some more education. She launched her own company 1973 when nobody was doing commercial real estate development, became a commercial real estate developer, and 10 years later retired and didn't have to work again. So the subconscious driver was I saw how she transformed herself. I saw how she did that through her intellect and her beauty and her dresses and her fashion and her sense. And people just always looked up to her in that regard. And so the subconscious driver was, how can I help people aspire and become their best version of themselves? And it's like with makeup, it's like a mask, it's a uniform. You remember the first time you put on makeup and you felt so beautiful? Well,
Yeah. That's really interesting. So you're seeing beyond the physical product to this emotional transformation.
yeah, that's what ended up happening. I didn't see it at first. They helped me kind of uncover because how do you go from investment corporate finance? Why did you pick cosmetics, Chris? Let's dig into the deeper reasons. And all of a sudden, it became more about what I wanted to help people feel. And I wanted them to feel empowered, like I felt empowered when I was in the third grade, like I watched my mom get empowered. So then you realize when you take somebody down that journey and you can transform, not fill in your brows, I'm going to transform how you look and feel in 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Then you get to the point with or without the makeup, you realize that you've always been this beautiful person, that everything you need to create and become is already within you. And that's, to me, the highlight of being able to become self aware is that you become empowered, knowing that you don't have to look out externally, you have it internally.
That's a beautiful thought. I'm writing it down. Um,
Thank you.
because it takes some people never figure that out. I mean, think
Oh,
about
yeah.
it, you know? And here we are. I'm 57. Um, I imagine you're not 20 anymore. You're probably
I
maybe you're younger
will,
than.
I will confess I'm 64.
Oh, well, you look really good for 64. But I
Thank
think,
you.
here we are and we're just figuring this stuff out. I feel like I'm learning all the time. It's crazy. Like my brain is still okay, maybe not as functioning as a 28-year-old, but kind of like in my head, I still feel really young. And so, but to learn and to grow and to kind of have these epiphanies is beautiful. And I think to be able to help people figure it out sooner, right?
Yeah. That's so beautiful and so well put. I think, what I sensed about you from the moment I met you is that you have this growth mindset. And when you have a growth mindset, you never get old. The world is always fascinating. There's always more
There's always
discovery, more to
more. There's
learn.
always more to figure out, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I
Oh,
think I
don't even get me started on contact in the desert. Ooh,
there
that's a
you
whole
go.
rabbit hole.
There you
But
go. I love
anyway,
it.
but we'll go back to no, let's go back to your products. Why don't you show people what they look like? Because they're
Sure.
beautiful.
Thanks. So this is our number one seller. It's our eyebrow pencil. There we go.
Oh
And
God, I anyone over 40, this is the most important thing I do is put on my brows.
yeah, for
Otherwise,
sure.
I look like an alien. Speaking
Well,
of
I
con,
wouldn't say that. But it's amazing how transformative it is when you fill in your browser. We have a safety seal in this, so I'm busy taking that off. But we've got let me see here. Here we go.
oh yeah,
Fine
I love
tip
it. That's great.
retractable pencil, so you can, you never
Brilliant.
want to use it that far because you'll snap it off. But just to show that it's
Yeah.
adjustable, and really, boom, boom, boom. It's like you're a kid. It's a wax pencil, super high end, very smooth, lasts all day, doesn't sweat off, so it's water resistant. We have a little spoolie on the other end, so that once you get done, you give it a quick little
Oh yeah, do a little. Yep.
yeah, little housekeeping there.
Yep.
But what's been wonderful about kind of how we're positioned in the market is within the last couple of years, we partnered with JW Marriott, Ritz, Four Seasons, Waldorf Astoria, these beautiful marquee hotels that are providing magnificent services in terms of facials and brow waxes and all kinds of products. And our way into that consumer is that, look, when you get a facial, everything's taken off. You're bare naked. You go outside, maybe a little
Yeah.
embarrassed because you have nothing on. But if I fill in your brows and I give you a complimentary brow fill at the end of that facial, all of a sudden you're standing up strong and you're going, wow, my skin's glowing, my brows look great, I look younger and more confident. And it's a feel. It's like how you feel about yourself when you have got yourself put together. So that's what we try to provide people, that experience, not only as a salon spa owner, but obviously as the customer of that salon spa. We want to be able to empower them and make them feel and look their best.
By the way, I think you need to send Pamela Anderson some of those eyebrow pencils because she's been doing the whole no makeup thing,
Uh-huh.
but her brows are so thin from years of like plucking that I'm like, she just needs to do a little zhuzh.
Just a little. Well, and she's a blonde too, and all blondes have that plight. You know,
Uh,
they're very
I
fair.
mean, if I rub this off, you wouldn't see it. I would look like I have
Right.
no brows.
Yeah. But your brows look perfect. I mean,
Well,
you got it
now they
down.
do.
They look wonderful.
Okay, so you've got the brow pencil. That's your
Yep.
number one seller. And by the way, let's go just quick for the viewers. How long have you been doing this?
20 years.
Okay, so you know a thing or two.
Yeah. Been around it a little bit. You know, it was interesting you were talking about ingredients. I saw the reports on parabens come through. Gosh, it was probably 15 years ago.
Oh,
And
wow.
this was one of those things where you have an opportunity as a small entrepreneur to turn on a dime. And I immediately went to our team and said, next year, everything has to be paraben free.
Yeah,
And so we've been always like, we are EU and UK registered. Just backtrack for a second. Definitely all about clean beauty. So we are PETA
yeah,
certified. We're vegan certified. I became a vegan personally because it saved my life. We could talk about my health journey.
yeah.
And then Prop 65, Health Canada, every group that we need to subscribe to make sure that our products are as clean as possible, we are. And then we use
Amazing.
reforested paper for all of our paper goods, so that we're really all about trying to. And then we do a carbon and plastic neutral offset, so that we offset our footprint so we can be as light a touch on a Mother Earth as possible.
Wow, you are definitely ahead of the curve because I feel like in the last couple of years since we launched our brand, we launched in 2020. Now it's like you really can't launch a brand, a small brand, and not have it be clean.
A
But
hundred percent.
but when you launch, you could like there were still brands launching that were not clean back
Yeah.
in 10 years ago or whatever. So in your opinion, what is the issue with parabens? Just to help educate some of our viewers.
Um, the argument has been, as it relates to breast cancer and hormone disruptors, that anytime you're interrupting your hormones, that's not a good thing. And
Right.
so there have been some studies that say that they are, some studies that say that they aren't, but you got to look at who's paying for the study.
Yeah.
So I think that's been the big issue. And when you look at this, we have the most cancer-ridden, diabetes-ridden, disease-ridden society that we've ever had in the history of our country right now. And you look at the hormone disruptors that are, synthetic additives to our food, to our health, to our shampoos, to our skincare, these things that are cheap chemicals to make because they don't want to use, something that's more natural or organic because the shelf life isn't there, or the stability is not there.
Or it's just more expensive,
Yeah, it's more expensive to formulate that way. I'm really up against it with the food industry. Red dye 40 is still a thing in this country. How it's
You
still
believe that?
able, yeah,
And that's the thing that I don't really get, like Fruit Loops.
right,
Why are they not formulating the same way they have to in Europe? And they're
right,
giving like the US gets the fake products with the
right.
dyes because we will tolerate it. And then Europe, you can't have that. So
I,
the
I
price
think
of
you're right,
money.
Lynn. I think it's all about the money. I mean, high fructose corn syrup is a hormone disruptor. That's absolutely the worst thing you could ingest. They don't allow it in Europe, but it's the same product. over here can have high fructose corn syrup, but over there they won't allow it. You know,
That's
they
crazy. And it's also addictive. I feel like sugar
oh,
is so addictive, and that is a big problem too, and also a cancer contributor.
for
So
sure.
one of the things that I think I told you before, but after my cancer, I started taking metformin, which is a diabetes drug, and it eliminates cancer in your system. And there's a whole secondary use of people like me that don't have diabetes, but we take it as a preventative so that the cancer at least eliminates one food source.
Yeah, Dr. David Sinclair in his book Lifespan, he's a guy who studied anti-aging at Harvard and is considered probably one of the most foremost guys in the world, advocates for taking metformin for that reason.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I had a friend who's a nurse practitioner and she worked for an oncologist and she had breast cancer the year before me. And she did all this research and that was her conclusion is you got to start taking this stuff. There's no downside, just take it. And I'm like, all right. And so
Right.
I don't know, my cancer hasn't come back. I had a very
Yeah.
aggressive, I had a very rare aggressive kind of cancer that's likely to come back. So I'm trying to do all these things, like to your point, eliminate milk, eliminate some of the dairy, eliminate I try, but sugar as much as I can. I mean, that's the problem. It's like in everything here in the US.
Yeah, for
Ketchup,
sure.
it's in things that don't even taste sweet. It still has it in it,
Because they know it's addictive. It's a neural pathway right to your brain. So that's salt, fat, and sugar. They juice those up in these formulas so that you can eat a bag of chips. It's completely denuded of all nutrition. They take all the good stuff out so that at the end of it, your stomach still has the signal, I'm not full. I'm hungry because there's been no nutrients delivered. So if they
Yeah.
actually left the ingredients in there, you'd get full and wouldn't need a second bag, but they want you to, so they take everything out. Kind of crazy.
Oh, it's so frustrating. But back to beauty, because we have
Yes.
like so many things to solve in beauty. And I think one of the things that I'm constantly trying to do is tell people if you are conscious about what you're putting in and on your body, that includes beauty too. It's not just your food. You have to also think about and be very mindful of what you're putting on your skin. And people tell me, oh, well, the shampoo just washes off. You're scrubbing it into your scalp
Yeah. Your,
multiple times a week.
your skin's your biggest organ, so we gotta
Yes, and your
protect that.
scalp is super absorbent. So,
Yes.
but makeup too. I mean, and you're putting stuff on. You've got it on all day. It's sitting there. You know what I mean? It's like, why would you want anything on your face that's toxic?
Yeah. You were asking about our products. So
Yeah,
our number one seller is the eyebrow pencil in this wax pencil with the mechanical pencil. Our number two is our eyebrow cream, which is also vegan certified, PETA certified, and that's more a product that you could wear swimming or in a hot sauna and it's not going anywhere. It's a 24 to 48 hour product, but our quick rising star is our mascara
Mhm.
because it's been dermatologically tested for non-irritation and it's also a clean vegan certified formula. And I've heard so many complaints over the years about burning, scratchy, itchy, red eyes either from the eye cream or from the mascara because the mascara is sitting right on your lashes and it's going down where the follicle gets into the lash and all of a
Yep.
sudden you got scratchy itchy red eyes. This is I don't know, we've sold probably 50,000 of them. I have not had one complaint from a customer because the
Wow.
ingredient deck is so clean and so pure. So it doesn't give you these massive huge tarantula leg eyelashes, but if you're looking for clean vegan, a beautiful enhancement without being over the top, we've got the mascara for you.
I love that. Sorry, it's a little bit of a party here, I guess.
Yeah, no, you're coming in clear.
Okay, good. Yeah, so I would trade off tarantula lashes for clean any day because one of the side effects that I had from chemo, obviously my hair, but my lashes, I lost all my lashes. And not
Wow.
only did I lose all my lashes, but I had like cysts in
Oh,
here and here. And I ended up having to go to my eye doctor and she did this laser treatment to get rid of all of them because it was like I think what
wow.
happened was these little glands just got clogged and
Shut down.
shut down from the chemo. And so I will only use clean mascara now
Yeah.
because the last thing I want is to have those kind of issues come back. And my lashes are so thin, I need it. It's like,
Yeah. Makes
so
sense.
anyway,
Well,
so
Lynn, we were talking the last time about kind of your cancer journey, and I lost my mom to lung cancer, so that was 20 years ago, and I really brought me on this path of clean living and what I could do for
yeah,
myself and family and friends and people we love. And the research that I've read really suggests that about 75 to 80% of all cancers are environmental and
I believe it.
stress induced and related. So when you
Yeah,
think about, you were sharing with me your journey of the life that you were living in New York and the stress and all those things, and you realize that I had to change my environment. If you want
yes,
to change your life, you got to change your environment. You got to change your personal reality. So you change that by changing your location. And so when you think about this is, go down this rabbit hole, but Bruce Lipton wrote a book called The Biology of Belief, where he has proven, and this was proven back in the 50s, that if you can change a cell by changing the environment that the cell is in. So that's the study of epigenetics, that really all the programming from a cellular basis happens on the outside of the cell by reading the environment. So that could be the toxins that you're eating, that could be the emotions that you're feeling.
yeah,
It's the environment that creates either a positive or negative experience for your cells. And if it's a negative one, then they start replicating down that negative path. And all of a sudden, you got a problem. The food that you're eating, you got a bad gut biome. That's going to start spawning different signals, hormone disruptors in your gut, different signals. So all those things can accumulate into all of a sudden you got a cancer. So I really commend you for being open to your environment and realizing that what you were doing at whatever level wasn't working and unhealthy, and you shifted. And obviously the treatments worked for you, but I think the treatments and a shift in environment, a change in that environment and changing your reality changed your life. And I think it saved your life. So
yeah.
pretty
I
cool.
think you might be right about that. I think it's very hard for people that are a little type A like me. I mean, I was living in New York for 25 years and I'm not, I'm from Chicago originally, but I became a New Yorker. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm here. Like, get out of my way. You turn into that when you're here. And it's very easy to get sucked into that kind of always on, have to be super busy, super productive. And I've been really forcing myself to be much more mindful around my priorities in my life. And that meant changing my environment, but also trying to be more forgiving to myself in terms of
Yeah.
how I spend my time, because it's also as an entrepreneur, and you know this, there are days when you are like, what am I doing? Like, I
Right.
want to just I want to stop. I just want to give up. I want to just shutter the business because it's just so hard. And then there are days like I was at Clara Med Spa yesterday. I was getting a little spa time, and this customer comes in, and it turns out that she is a heavy user of my products. And Clara said, Lynn's here. She's the founder. And this woman comes in and her hair looked amazing. She was glowing, glowing, glowing. She could not stop talking about how great my products are. And I'm like, you made my day. So days like
Yeah.
that, I'm like,
That's
I'm
so
gonna,
beautiful.
but it's tough. I mean, it's very tough. But I do think I always try to say to founders, and maybe you can give some advice to founders too, but I always try to tell people don't be so hard on yourself. Do you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, if you make the decision that the business isn't working and you decide to go in a different direction, so it's fine. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not a
100%.
failure.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Yeah, I think, you're hitting the nail on the head with those insights, Lynn, because I think it comes as an entrepreneur, there's two aspects of it. It's what are you doing holistically to take care of yourself? And
Yeah.
and look, I wasn't until I was in my mid 50s, so we're talking about 10 years ago, that I kind of made the decision everything else was going to be after this happened, after that happened, after this happened. I'm like, I'm going to be dead by the time all this
Yeah,
happens.
exactly.
I need to start
Don't
doing
wait.
this life now. So I dove deep into meditation, deep into yoga, deep into restructuring my day. So the beginning of the morning is all about, you call that me time. It's really about honoring yourself and taking care of yourself. And that's the best de-stressor in the world. And then from a business perspective is whatever is meant to be is meant to be. I mean, if it works, it will work. If it doesn't, then you have to iterate and shift and pivot and find something else that does work, or you have to stop.
Yeah,
I would say that, most people that are successful will tell you they've had that moment in the darkness where they realized that the only way they got through it was just pure perseverance and belief. So you had that relighting of the candle of your flame with that customer who lets you know you're on the right path because you're creating those kinds of reactions because your product is so good. How can you stop that?
I
I
know.
mean, it'd be another thing if she met you and said that this is the worst product I've ever
Yeah,
used.
like
This
this is
sucks.
terrible.
You're like, oh my God.
No, but you're right. It's like those little reinforcements kind of do kind of give you a little bit of like, okay, like I don't think our customers think about what an impact they have on us as entrepreneurs, good and bad.
Sure.
And it really can make or break you mentally. So, you do have to have a lot of resilience. You have to also not take things personally. You just have to let it roll off. If you have a bad day, you kind of just let it go.
Yeah.
So do you have, now, while we're on the topic, I'm sure you do, like if you're going to give some advice to a struggling beauty founder, what would it be? What would your top two or three things?
It's a great question. I think first and foremost is, are you fulfilling a need that your customers need your solution?
Yes.
Um, and in your case, it's pretty easy. If people are putting toxic shampoos on their head and they need a clean variant of that, that's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Um, so you want to make sure that you have market validation, and then from there, um, always be raising money. There's never enough. There's never enough time, and there's never enough money. I mean, as
Yeah.
an entrepreneur, I've only been doing it 20 years. There's never enough time, and there's never enough money. I've had a
So
couple of times where, we were hitting the ball out of the park, but then, my warehouse got broken into in 2015, and some thieves stole $2 million worth of finished goods inventory. They stole everything that we
oh
had.
my God, that's
Nope.
crazy.
Yeah, if we hadn't been
Happened? Did you
properly
ever
insured.
find them?
No, no, never found the product or any of it. Had we not been insured, not only for loss of product, but loss of income, and that's one that most entrepreneurs don't have, then we would have been completely out of business. There'd have been no recovery. And then we recover, and then COVID happens. And then,
Yeah.
we're selling in spas and salons, and you know what COVID was like. It was a disaster.
Yeah.
So you're just, you can never predict what's going to happen. So you got to be flexible enough to realize that you're going to have to roll with it. But it's hard to roll with it if your customers aren't happy and you're not fulfilling a need. So that's the first thing. And then, be ready to pivot. I've never seen a business plan that worked the way that anybody, and I looked at business plans for 10 years because I funded them, that
Yeah.
ever went the way that anybody thought it was going to go. Those are 1 in 100 that, I projected this and we beat it by, fivefold or tenfold, or we actually met it. That's 1 in 100.
Yeah.
Everybody else is they're running into brick walls and they're having to pivot right or pivot left and figure out how to get over the wall. So, yeah, I think those would be the things that I would
Those
share.
are really good tips. Very insightful and very true. And I think pivoting, I had to pivot immediately when we launched because it was COVID. And then again when I had cancer. And it was and it's I like to have a plan. I'm not somebody who's like on the fly so much.
Right.
So I had to kind of force myself to take a step back and it's going to be okay. And we're going to rethink this and not freak out. And I actually think like I'm much more zen now because of these things that we've gone through. And so it is a little bit of just embrace it. Don't resist it so much. Can't
Yeah.
change stuff anyway. It is what it is. But we've been talking for a while. It's super interesting. And I think we could talk all night, but let's just kind of like wrap it up with a little bit of what's next for you and Chella. Like, I'd love to hear what you're up to and what you're planning for the year.
Thank you, Lynn. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I think we got a couple of really big initiatives. We've been working on a vegan PETA Clean certified product that is going to be um, a tinted brow gel with organic fibers in it because, for that crowd that's, starting to really
Yeah.
get thin and they want a more natural look.
That's
But they're not happy with a cream or a pencil. They really love a tinted brow gel. So we're hoping to bring that to market in the fourth quarter. The other thing is, and this really is kind of our B2B strategy. There's 3.5 million licensed estheticians out there in the US right now operating. And most of them are exceptionally good at doing their services. And the vast majority of them could use some improvement on how they retail and sell product. And
yeah.
so if they demonstrate products as they're doing their service, the products sell themselves. It's like
Yes.
every counter at Neiman Marcus and Nordstrom's and Saks has a chair in front of the beauty counter for one reason and one reason only, to sit the woman down and make her more beautiful. And if you do that, she will buy 300% more than if you don't. So as we try to help these young entrepreneurs, 3.5 million of them that are booth renters that have their own businesses be more successful, you've already got your 100 customers. How can you help them look and feel their best? So make them feel good about the service you're providing, the demonstration you're providing, so that they want to buy what you're demonstrating. So now you're making them feel good, but now you're also increasing your bottom line so you can, take care of your family better. So we're working with Salon HQ. We're actually going to be launching at the American Beauty Show next weekend in
Oh, cool.
Chicago, your old
Yeah.
hometown. And so we'll be presenting that in front of 25,000 folks. Here's how you can use this app and be able to buy all your products. So if you're a professional, you don't have to go to Cosmoprof. You don't have to go to, someplace out. They'll just ship right to your door. Better yet, if you're a professional and Lynn shows up in your chair and you're done her hair and now you've given her a complimentary brow fill and she's, I have to have that cello taupe pencil. You can open up your app, hit the cello taupe pencil and ship it right to you, Lynn, to your home
Oh,
address.
so good.
You don't have to inventory anything
Yeah.
as the business owner, and it goes right to your door, and the professional gets paid their commission for making that happen.
So smart. I
Yeah.
love it.
So we're
That's,
trying to kind of, get on the cutting edge of some of that in terms of how we interact
yeah.
with customers.
I just think it's just so much more about how you have to go where customers are and they want convenience. So it's like you do have to solve that. And by the way,
Who?
this is the first year I'm not going to America's Beauty Show. I've gone for like
Wow.
3 or 4 years. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, I'd love to see you guys, but
Yeah, for sure. So when you think about it, how many times does your average customer visit their salon spa? Huh?
yeah, I mean, depends, right? If you have hair like mine, you're there every 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah. I think the national average is somewhere between 8 to 10. So to
Yeah,
your
that
point,
sounds right. Yeah.
your professional is seeing you more than anybody else in your life other than your
My God,
family,
that's so true.
right?
Wow.
That's the way to get.
Oh,
So that's the
that's
business
so
side of it. On the personal
fascinating.
side, you
Yeah.
talked about being more zen. For me,
Yes.
it's all about being able to be meditative and project out how I want my future life to be. So that's very anybody who's interested, follow Joe Dispenza. He's got a book called Becoming Supernatural. If you read that book and it doesn't change your life, please call me, email me. I want to talk with you.
I'll
It is an
read
absolute
that
game
book.
changer.
I wrote down all of the books that I'll put them in the notes in the YouTube as well, but these are great recos and I'm going to get them all. And then
You'll love them. I'm so excited, Lynn.
maybe we'll start a CBC book club, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
that'd be great. Or
Chris,
or we just have this chat once a month.
or we just have this chat once a month, but it's really interesting and I'm definitely going to check those out because like I said, growth mindset, always learning,
Yeah,
never too old to learn, stay curious, all that good stuff. But this has been awesome. Thank you so much for joining. And yeah, we'll do it again next month after I've read the book.
I would love to do that, Lynn. It's been such a pleasure to meet you and just know the ripple effect of what you do and share out with your collective is touching so many more people than you think and know. And it's really beautiful work and commend you for that.
Oh, thank you. I hope so. It's like we're just building blocks. It's like
Yeah.
foundation, just trying to get it all going. But thank you, and we will talk again